All right. Welcome to Raivision Dialogues. And today I've got a very special guest from Suva, Fiji. People who have been following films in Fiji would know this name, Rajnel Raj Prasad. He was the lead actor in Vimal Reddy's Adhura Sapna. The first modern day lead actor. We had few before, when Michael Chinnapai started Kalang. Then Vishwa made 3 or 4 films there. And then there was a lapse, and then Vimal found the talent in Rajnel. We're going to talk about that. But before I do that, I'll invite Rajnel to come on and tell himself, our audience, a bit about himself. Rajnel, welcome to Raivision Dialogues.
Yes, thank you very much, Satish. And it is indeed an honor to be part of your program. And actually, indeed, also, after a long time, then we're actually having a good chat as such, because I think after a few years back where we were trying to work on a project. But thank you very much for inviting me. And a very good afternoon, good evening, good morning, or Ram Ram, Namaste from Fiji, where you're watching from around the world. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Rajnel Prasad, and Fiji know me as Raj. Just like, in Hollywood and Bollywood, some of the actors have their real name, but the film names are different. But my film names are Raj. People know me as Raj. So I'm a filmmaker and also an actor, and also a consultant and line producer for many of local and international films that has been produced in Fiji. I've tagged my name with some of the renowned films, Tamil films as well. So like what Satish has just mentioned, that I've been part of Vimal Reddy's Adhura Sapna, and also Satish Rai's docu film In Exile at Home. And also I've also produced my own film and 2 seasons of a TV show. I stay in Fiji and travel around as well. And
I want to know first, and audience would want to know as well, not many people in Fiji tend to acting or films as a way of means of living or livelihood. You did that at a very young age. So tell us why you selected film as a profession.
To be honest, Satish, I had my intention to be part of the film industry. I've always had my own ambition, as we all know, as a kid, we all have our ambitions. So as we moved on, I used to be, you say, cartoon in the family. I used to, imitate actors and imitate, people. So as a former cabin crew, I thought that I will continue to be part of the aviation industry. Mm-hmm. Then in 2006, I believe, yes, in 2006, I was at home. And then I joined the media, Fiji Broadcasting, as a part-time announcer and events manager and customer service manager for Fiji Broadcasting Corporation. There was an ad in the local dailies where I saw an advert of FIT recruiting film and television. So I thought, let's do something different. So I went in and enrolled myself, and the selection criteria back then for students was totally different of compared to what it was now. So they gave me a test, did the creative writing test and all this. So I made it through. So when I joined FIT in 2006, I was glad that I was one of the pioneer students who started film and television unit in FIT back then, now which is FNU. So our lecturer was from South Africa. Her name was Uga. She was teaching us, and we basically learned Shakespeare's program. And like I've said, the the interest started to grow to be part of the industry. So again, on 2006 was a good year for me, where I actually was approached.
Yeah, can you say that you were very excited when you got selected, and you did the course, but I have learned that you were not awarded any certificate for your effort.
That was a bit of disappointing for me as a student, and even for any student, that if you pay your fees and you do what is required to do, and also you pass all your units, and out of the lot, I was the only student that was selected in film industry, such as like Vimal Raj's film, and also doing the theater drama, where I was actually been awarded as a best actor nearly every month. We were doing this certificate presentation. So due to few conflict and unethical work from FIT then, and the head of the department back then, I've done several appeals. I've spoken to them personally, but the reason being is, like, at that time there was no rules as what rules that we have now. So what happened? Our lecturer was taking things too personally, because I knew what they were doing, the corruptions that were going on in FIT back then. I knew it. Why I knew it, and how I knew it, is because I was basically sitting with them and overhearing the discussions that what they were doing. And the reason why she didn't allow me to graduate, because I showed her she was sharing the exam papers to the students, and the unethical way of her to work that she was taking. She's also a big racist lady. I would say that I have no second thoughts to say that, and I'm publicly saying it, that she was a racist, and she didn't like Indo-Fijians. So her coming as a foreigner, she was she was politicizing things, and she was making issues. She was involving the students with her political agenda against the Indo-Fijians here. So
that is very, very, very sad that it happened to you.
And I told her, I don't like what you are doing. So she told me that I'm not going to let you graduate. And I said, well, if you think that if it's the case, and if I've passed my unit, and if I've paid my fees, and if you don't want me to graduate, then we will take legal action. So what happened before the graduation? Before she submitted the name to the registrar of the university for graduation, she actually left the country. She was not here for the graduation. And then when I followed up, and they said, sorry, your name is not in the list for graduate. So I couldn't graduate. Till today, I haven't received my certificate. And out of that whole lot, even Doc, you also know that out of the lot, that I'm the only one that have actually produced various TV commercials for many companies. I've been part of the international and local film, and I've also produced 2 series of local TV show, and also I have produced short films which I have won award for as a best director and best film. So actually, all the achievements that I have actually shows the background of the film knowledge that I have, and people can judge that why I didn't receive the certificate. And there was a lot of people who were asking me that how come that FIT didn't award you a certificate. Until today, I'm following up with FIT, FNU now. I'm following up with them, and they say there is no report of it.
I know,
so,
Rajnel,
that's the issue that I'm facing at the moment.
Yeah, I know, when I was there, after setting up the film and TV department at FIT and then later FNU, I know how hard you tried to get your work, your course recognized, but even the FNU decided not to award you as a RPL certificate. And then, but this time with the work you've done so far, you should have at least achieved a diploma, if not a degree, in film production. But that is what happened. I experienced it. I was there with you for about two years, from 2009 to 2012. We'll pursue that later. It's gone. I know how difficult, how bad you once feels when your hard work is is denied. Same thing happened to me in London when I was denied my master's degree because of the political and racist attitude of the University of London. So I know how you feel. But having said that, we both moved on and we have achieved much greater things than probably if we were stuck there trying to get our certificates and degrees. You moved on and your talent was recognized by Vimal Reddy. Let's talk about that, the good thing. How did it happen? It was after 2006. I just don't remember which year.
So. 2006. Yes, thank you, Satish. Well, actually, I see Vimal Reddy as my mentor for the film industry, and also you as well. Both of you guys have been my mentor and my good guidance in terms of moving forward in the industry. And both of you guys have given me a very good advice, bad and good advice. Even if I've been doing wrong in the industry, you guys used to correct me, and I'm really thankful to that. So the journey for me to be part of Adhura Sapna was actually, it was a big surprise for me. And, you know, the character to play Sambu was indeed not an easy for me, coming from a city and going and, you know, being part of, to play a character of a farmer was totally different. That in my life, I've never cut canes, and in my life I've never, you know, used a plow. What do you call that for with the cow? I didn't do that. So it was quite challenging, and I was really thankful that Vimal is a good director and producer. He actually guided me in terms of how. So how I was selected. I was doing my theater drama in FNU, and I think one of his line producers or one of his team actually came and watched the show, and then he saw me on stage, and then he came to me and asked me, he said, "Hey, you film mein magta kaam kare?" And then I said, "Oh, it's a film." You know, at that time it was, because if anybody approaches you to be part of a movie, then, you know, the thing comes in your head, oh, okay, it's a movie, you know. So he came to me and he goes like, "Tum film mein magta kaam kare?" And I said, "Oh, okay." Then he goes like, "Oh, Girimitla movie hai, farming ke baare mein." And then he, hame pata is later, because I wrote a letter. And then I gave it to him. And then next thing, I'm getting a call from Vimal Reddy and saying that if he could meet at J. Maniklal studio for a screen test. So after a week, I went and attended went and did the screen test at J. Maniklal studio. And then on that day, he straight away, he offered me, he goes like, "Okay, you playing the lead role of Sambu." Even some of the renowned people that who came in for the audition, and I was actually surprised that I actually took it. Some of the radio announcers were part of the audition, and they were shortlisted to be part of the film to play Sambu's character, and I was actually glad that I actually got that role. So the first day when we went to the shooting set in Nandi, I remember we were all at the hotel, and we were doing this script rehearsal, and actually everything just went out of my head. Because we were given the script at least 2 months prior to the shoot, and we were reading the script, and me and Minla, who played my opposite, Nazmin, she's in New Zealand now. She's got a good, beautiful family. So we were at the hotel and we were reading our scripts, and also tomorrow is our shoot, and we were doing our final dress rehearsal, and then everything just went out of my head. I just forgot about all the script.
That happens, Rajnel. We'll talk about one day. We'll once we get a few more actors from Adhura Sapna and others, we'll delve deeper into that. But I want to ask you about one person in the film, and probably along with the most talented film actor from Fiji, Ratu Rakwita Tawaki. How was your interaction with him? Because having worked with him, he worked in Sahara. He's a wonderful, wonderful, very jovial person. So please tell briefly about.
Yeah, for Ratu, no one could have played the role of Chona in that movie better than him. Working with Ratu was totally a different experience, and it is really easy to work with him. And He used to help me a lot in terms of dialogue delivery and so forth. And working with him, he's already an actor himself because he has been part of this Trikuttu dance group and all. So he has that confidence. So working with Ratu was a totally an amazing experience. He's an amazing actor, an amazing individual, and he understands. So at certain times, when I make my mistakes in terms of dialogue delivery, our director used to get angry on me. So he would be like, saying, "Achare boso wait karo, acha soji nahi wait karo, film banje," all this, because he has that humor. So he used to be our person on set that will that makes you laugh at any time, and it was really easy, and indeed it was an honor for me to be part of to work with him, and I'm hoping that in near future that I do again play to do a.
I suggest Rajnel, when he comes to Suva next, or if you are in touch with him, we'll have a conversation with you and him together, because that will be hilarious.
And he will tell all the funny things. He knows all the joke where I fell off the horse and then I couldn't ride the horse and then I had to sit, because I think there's a scene in that movie where Chona and I were on the horse, on the horse, and then it was really hot sun in Taua where we were shooting that scene, and I just actually ran out of my breath and I couldn't shout to call the other lady, where auntie, and then I couldn't shout, and then he had to do it, and then it was so funny, and then I fell. There were a few funny moments in that movie, and I think Vimal would be. I hope that they have a bloopers of these films.
In all movie production, there are many funny and trying moments. So we'll get together some actors and producers, and we'll talk about that. You said you played Sambhu, a great character in Adhura Sapna. You are not a farmer. I know where you live, and there's no farm around there at all.
No, all countries.
In my film, we met. I know I had seen your film, Shambhu, but when I went to make my film, a documentary drama, I was in drama part. I had no clue who I was going to cast, but out of the blue, you called me and you offered this service. I don't remember where we met, but you came. Do you remember?
I remember from day one how we met. Yes, again, meeting up with another talented filmmaker was you, and like I said, you've been one of my mentors. I had your ad on Radio Fiji 2. I was working for FBC at that time. So Veena Bhatnagar, who is assistant minister right now, and I believe that she did your interview on the radio and as the Great Girmit program, and then she came running out to my office and goes like, "Hey, film mein kaam karega? Ek aur Girmit la farming la film." I'm like, "Oh." Then she gave me your number, and then we met, and then I think we met in McDonald's in town over a coffee. And then you gave me the script. I mean, you explained me the documentary script. And then I said, "Look, I'm okay." And then you asked me if there is a female actress, and where we contacted Chania to play the role.
Yeah, you played the dual role in that film. You played the role of line producer. Yes. And you also played the lead role of a Girmitia. I've never met a Girmitia, but you fitted in that role, perfectly.
So at that time we were very slim, younger days, and so I know because of time, at that time you have that energy in you to be in the gym because you don't do much stuff. So you're in the gym nearly every second day and building yourself and waiting for opportunities to be part of the film and television. So yes, the journey, and then also what was the wow factor that we created in Exile at Home was our dress up, the makeup, because everything was all natural, and we had to do a lot of research. I remember that we had no place to sit and walk we had to go and buy a coffee and sit at the cafeteria and walk and discuss on it. But I totally understand the challenges that we all had faced with you as well. We had to go and sit around at places and to discuss scripts and write down the storyboards, and then we went out and filmed it. So it was good that we had a very good team back then, and now it is very hard to create a team. Maybe we'll discuss about it. So yeah, it was indeed an honor to be part of the Exile at Home, and we had to go and meet up with a lot of people. There was a lot of rejections, and there were a lot of ups and downs that we faced together.
Yeah, I must say that that film may not have been finished if you had not stepped in. Your role was crucial. You got China, you got the two young boys, or one boy, one girl, and also we filmed on various locations in Suva. And I don't know whether you came to Lautoka or not. We
were in Lautoka. I remember we were filming in Lautoka, up at the hill where forgot that place. The house where Totaram came in. Totaram's character.
Yes. So yeah, thank you.
At that time, Rakesh, at that time, Satish, just to add on, during that time, for us as a filmmakers, as sort of like a semi pioneers, apart from you guys, was we had that what do you call, the energy to be part of it, and we didn't actually look at of how much are we going to be paid, and compared to now, we actually, in most of the movies, like most of the projects, that we actually volunteered ourselves just to grow the industry. So compared to now, us as a filmmakers, now we're actually facing that. And when I'm talking to most of the actors, talented people here, we used to tell them, I said, look, when we started the industry, we were actually working with a very minimum budget or no budget. But we actually did because we had that, the energy to actually grow the industry, to actually make it happen. And what most of these actors are doing now, the first thing they will ask, even if they don't have any experience, the first thing they will ask, how much we're getting paid.
That is the biggest problem in Fiji.
Exactly.
Although Fiji has got a lot of talent, and it's over here as well, a lot of talented people, but they're not trained. When I go to India, I don't mind paying the actors there because they are already trained. And so it justifies paying them. In Fiji, as you said, the first thing they have never done any training. The only thing they've seen is Bollywood films or Hollywood films. And first thing they said, how much will I get paid? And that's one of the biggest incentives that many of not making films in Fiji.
Even like when I have done TV commercials, there are demand for them to be on screen for 30 seconds.
Mm.
And it is said me that there are few people that have actually spoiled it by paying them good amount of money, like big productions. When they come to Fiji and they hear that, they're getting paid $300 an hour, or they're getting paid a certain amount of money. But when we tell them, look, those are US-based production houses, they can afford to pay you guys. But when you're working with independent filmmakers and local filmmakers, you cannot expect that pay to be offered to us, because for those US Hollywood, Bollywood productions, when they come to Fiji, they come with their fixed budget they are funded for, so they don't mind paying you guys $300 an hour, whereas for us we cannot.
Yeah, that is a problem, and they don't realize that as an independent film producers, you already have put in so much money into buying equipment. You probably wrote screenplay, or you paid somebody to write a screenplay, and you have to have a crew who probably are volunteers, or at least the minimum you have to do is to buy them their lunch and dinners, and pay them some money for traveling. And so you as a producer are investing money, a huge amount of money in production, and these people come in who have invested nothing. And the first thing they talk about is asking for money. And this is probably one of the reasons, apart from you, I'm going to come to the present now. Is there any other independent film or TV producers in Fiji?
There are quite a lot. To be honest, we have a group called the Fiji Filmmakers Guild. We are planning to register an association. And as you know, that this has been one of my projects since 2006 with Film Fiji to actually start up an association. So there are a few filmmakers that are keen and they're interested to be part of this project. But then again, you know, filmmakers, they will come on board, and then if they see something is a bit delayed, they will step back. And this is something that we are trying to really put forward to the local filmmakers, that in Fiji, the film industry is actually moving forward like a snail, and we can't do much. We don't blame. Number one is we have actually proposed to the local government to actually implement the rebate to the local filmmakers as well. So in Fiji, if you want to make a movie, there is a form, F1, F2 form, and where you have to get all these legal people in, and then you can get your grant. But then again, it's a very long process, and people have lost interest to it. We have requested for a review. So the filmmakers in Fiji, they are, according to me, if I'm going to do a hand count, perhaps we got about 10 independent filmmakers with a registered production house, and they're currently doing TV ads. And they prefer doing TV ads than doing movies because they don't get grant for making movies compared to Australia, New Zealand, and other countries. The government offers them grants.
I was going to ask you, has Film Fiji given any grant at all to any of the local film producers? Because when I was there until end of 2012, a number of local producers had approached Film Fiji, and nobody had been able to secure a grant from Film Fiji.
Yes, to be honest, I have made two seasons of my traveling show. And the traveling show that I have made, that was a major impact of Fijian tourism marketing. Because what we did is we went to most of the tourism destinations in Vanuatu, South side, and also in Yasawa. And we proposed to them, I said, we need fund for doing this, and even if you guys want to buy the program from us. No, there was totally the response was, we will get back to you. We will get back to you. And then till today, they're still getting back to me, and we just moved on. Because if you as a filmmaker, and if you have set up and scheduled for your filming dates, and you have got all your bookings and everything is all sorted out, you cannot delay without, by waiting these guys here to give you grant. So the only response that we're getting is to fill up a F1, F2 form. And then again, when we went on to do the F1, F2 form, the requirement is you need to hire a lawyer. You need to hire a lawyer, and then as a trustee. So once you get the trustee, half of that money will be paid to the trustee as their legal fee. So we don't get anything out of it. And then secondly, what is the guarantee that we will, get investors? Because in Fiji, it's very hard to get investors, especially big companies. They won't come, even though there is a rebate to it. But it is tough to secure investors. I mean, like if you see in Hollywood, Bollywood, or even in Australia, New Zealand, the companies are willing to invest because they know that they will get their money back. They have the faith. Here in Fiji, they have faith in filmmakers, but the thing is, how much guarantee that they're going to make their money back? So that's the reason why in Fiji it's very hard.
What is the minimum amount you have to put in as a local producer to get that 47% rebate? Is it still 250,000 or?
Still that it hasn't been changed. I haven't been followed up because honestly speaking, we had actually lost interest in following that up because the amount of following up that we have been doing, it was all rejected. So we had the only thing that they were doing is like they were only giving incentives to the international filmmakers. Majority of the rebate that is currently been taken out is from the Survivor series that are currently filming in Fiji. So they're getting a big chunk of money, and also some of the Bollywood movies have done productions in Fiji, and I've worked with one of them. And you can actually make receipts and claim your rebate.
Well, that was a big scam, I know, because I wrote a report on request of somebody who is in the minister now, and after that that scam had stopped, and huge amount.
There was a lot of sorry, Satish. There was a lot of Tamil films was done in Fiji. There was a lot of Bollywood movies were done in Fiji, but there was no cinema release to it.
Yeah,
so there was no release. So there was a film, one of the Bollywood movies were done in Fiji, but there was no release. This Tamil film was shot in Fiji. At that time I was working for Sonai Sali, and I was also part of their line producer. They actually hired the whole Sonai Sali island. The whole filming was done. The whole crew came to Fiji, but till today there was no release. And I believe I still remember the name of that movie that they told us was Amli Tumli, a Tamil film, and it didn't happen. And the other one was where Bhumini Rani was acting in it. It was called Santa Banta. I don't know if it was released or not. I haven't seen that movie.
Well, it's been released in India, but it's a terrible film. I started to watch it, but I stopped it. It's a terrible film. I was part of Table 25. I walked out of it because of racism against the local people displayed by Indian film team there. And there was another one, Supermodel.
Yes.
I had taken my students there for 1 week. I stayed with them. What a terrible film that was. I took my students over there to show them how a film should be made. But by end of 1 week, I told them this is not the way the film should be made. And I've seen the film. It's a terrible film. And hardly shows none of these films show anything about Fiji. Only out of 120 minutes, they'll show about 2-3 minutes of Fiji. And millions of dollars have been given of Fiji's taxpayers.
Same as one of these Hollywood movie that was done in Fiji was Fantasy Island.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see in Fantasy Island, there has been a lot of VFX was used in Fantasy Island, and you can clearly tell that it was not in Fiji, but it was shot in Fiji. The VFX actually creates, but if they wanted to use VFX, they could have used it in their country rather than claiming rebate, because rebate normally gives them a thumbs up for them to save them for making loss. And it's basically the taxpayers' money going there.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about that, Rajnel, but I want to know, without getting any funding from Fiji or any other source, since 2012, when I last met you, you've been making films, short feature films, TV ads and things like that. How do you fund those productions?
Yes, well, actually, as you know, that it is not easy, and it was quite challenging. I mean, like for a filmmaker, if you can make a movie with zero or no budget and win awards for, it actually shows that the interest that we had.
I know that Rajnel, I've made 40 of them, so I know.
Yeah, totally agree, and there you go. Yeah, so what we did. I was actually glad that I've worked with one of the talented scriptwriter, Ashfaq. He was a dear friend of mine. Apparently, he's in New Zealand, and I'm happy with you for him and his family. So we actually did a script, and I believe that you were also part of that script as well for Giving Life. And then we were glad that FNU School of Medicine actually funded that movie. $20,000 was funded, and that $20,000 for us was like 20 million, to be honest. We were really happy to actually produce, and we actually produced at our best level, at which we won the Best Director and Best Film Awards for that. And then secondly, we were again funded another $20,000 to make another movie based on violence against women. It was called Say a Little Prayer Again. Good friend Ashfaq wrote that script as well. So moving forward, in terms of my two seasons of
can
my
I just mention, can I confirm that those two films were funded by Professor Ian Rouse?
Yes, it was funded by Professor Ian Rouse under the Fiji School of Medicine at FNU. So a good gentleman.
Wonderful man.
Yeah. So then again, like I was saying, the two seasons of my traveling show, honestly speaking, Satish, that 13 episodes each show, we shot with a zero budget. What we did, we invited the hotels and say, look, we'll be filming at your hotel, accommodate us for free and provide us with food. And we went, and I was glad that I had got very good actors who are my dear friends, and they came into the shot and they did it for free. So what we did is just to cover some of our production costs, we bought in Fiji guests, because one of the segment that I had to play a bit smart. So one of the segment that I had actually bought Fiji guests to sponsor one segment. So they paid $500 per show. And so that segment was Fiji guest cooking show. So what we did is, like at the resort, the first segment was introduction. Second segment was the activities that the hotel has to offer. And then the third segment was the chef, the hotel food segment, where the chef actually cooks their signature dish and actually shows the tourism market. So we have received very good feedbacks from most of our hoteliers in Fiji, and they said that after your show was aired on Fiji One, and I'm really thankful to Fiji One that actually bought the show from me, and they paid me for each episode. So again, like all your hard work is there, but again, something is better than nothing. Fiji TV actually bought the 13 episodes for $1,200. So they bought the show, and I said, okay, chalo, like as an independent filmmaker, we can't do much. So, if they have given me a justification and say, look, the production is good and we are buying your show, if they would have paid us a bit more extra, it would have been nicer. But then again, I had no choice to go with it. Reason being is, like, I wanted to get some money out of it and to do my second season. Secondly, I was actually glad that we don't have much equipment in Fiji, and as you know that I don't have much equipment. So we managed to buy equipment from Australia, and one of my friends who was also one of the producer, we used his 7D Canon camera, DLSR camera. So we used about 2 cameras to film our entire show, and then at a location we used to spend 4 days per location to film, and then for 13 locations that we went to. So nearly we were out of Suva for nearly over 2 months to do the filming. So it was quite challenging, and then I was glad that the most of the hotels and rental car companies came on board and said, okay, I told them we'll be advertising in our show. It's a tourism show. Why don't you come on board and give us a vehicle? So they gave us a vehicle for free, and we went to the hotels. We stayed there for free. So we tried to sell the show for in-flight video with Fiji Airways. Apparently, again, I would say, due to favoritism, our show was not bought. Fiji TV bought our show, and then from there we actually moved on. So it was quite challenging to make movies with zero budget, I would say.
Well, that's why, Rajnel, I've got such a huge respect for you. You are one of the talents in Fiji, probably the only one who has persisted with the challenges of making film and television since you started in 2006. And I'm sure you are going to continue with that. I hope that you will get more support. It will sometimes, if the support comes from some unexpected
channels or sources. And hopefully, after this conversation, other people will realize how hard you and your team have been working, and somebody is going to step up and say, look, here is a little bit of money, because prayers and duas and everything is all right, but in film production, especially today, you need a bit of money. So I hope that happens. And before we end this session, what are your plans briefly from today to the next 5 or 10 years?
Yes, well, as you all know, since now I'm actually really heavily into the industry and to grow the industry, my main mission is to actually improve the film industry in Fiji in terms of getting local filmmakers more opportunity and also granting applications to do films. As we speak right now, I'm actually working on my feature film script. It's going to be at least a 90 minutes to 120 minutes film. It is going to be a very nice film, and as you know, that majority of the many of my friends who are in the industry, they know the genre that I love making, and as you know as well, that people call me local Karanjuha. So my genre is love drama, more of like Dharma production and Yash Raj film, and also the film that I'm like to make. It's basically on a love story film, and the script that I'm writing, it's based on one of those topics, one of those genres. So hopefully, if things goes on well, if we do get grants and some fundings, and if we get some producers, executive producers that who are keen to be part of this, we will be discussing the script. The script is basically, this time it's going to be on a mixture, will be on Hindi, Fiji Hindi, and also Itoke, Fijian, just to gather the audience, because the audience actually, generates our revenue. So I personally believe that my film that I'm going to be producing next is going to be on a Itoke language as well, and also in Hindi. So the story is basically based on a relationship, and locally content, and everything is all local. And also, we are trying to, for the first time, we will be also incorporating original soundtracks. So the format that I will be using will be Bollywood film format, with a heavy musical drama, with the love story in. So the romantic genre, with actors that will be trained, and the budget for this movie, we're looking at nearly 100,000 plus in terms of locations that we are looking at, filming locations and the equipments and stuff. So yeah, the plan is there. And
but Rajnel, the last local person who has made a film, or Indo-Fijian who has made a film in Fiji, was Vishwa Naidu, and that was more than 25 years ago. And since then, all the feature film produced by Indo-Fijians were from the diaspora, starting with Vimal Naidu, who has made 2 films there. And then we had Anil Mani, who made 2, and we had Paramshivan, who made 2, and then I made 3, and I was the last person who made a feature film in Fiji in 2015. So I hope you get some collaboration from some investors from overseas, some filmmakers from overseas, because I really don't see it being totally a locally funded project. So do you want to say anything to people out in the diaspora? How can they assist you or reach out to you?
You got my email contact. People can contact me on my email. I believe that Satish will also share it on the screen on my emails where people can reach out to me. And if you would like to be part of the Fijian film, apart from Fijian film, if you would like to be part of local TV shows, I've been approached by the current film and TV lecturer at FNU to also assist him and to take the lead to direct their local TV show. Forget the name. So, all those things. But we're actually keen. I'm actually keen to working with people, and also if anyone would like to be part of my production coming up soon next year, then I'm glad, and I'm welcoming you to be part of it.
Hopefully, the next conference dialogue we're going to have, or discussion we're going to have, is a number of film producers, directors, actors from across the Fijian diaspora, and to take your dream forward. And now we're going to bring to close our little, or rather more than little conversation. Thank you very much for providing so much information.